Hello, my name is Chef Colin Roche, and today I'm going to show you how to make wicked easy sous vide Italian meatballs. This is how I make them, and I think you're going to find them to be awesome. They're not only super moist and flavorful and delicious, but they're easy to make. So let's get started. Okay, so I have all my ingredients laid out according to this recipe, which I am going to post at the end of the video if you're interested in following along with it. So first here I have my ground beef, about a pound and a quarter or so. I like to use chuck, which comes from the shoulder, moves a lot on the animal, so it has a lot of flavor in it. So I like to use ground chuck, but use whatever you'd like. Then I'm going to have some fresh breadcrumbs. All I did is I took about a slice or two of white bread, and then I just cubed it up really small. And then I also have about a quarter cup of milk, whole milk, of a type you want. I'm going to put these two together. This is a fancy term, it's going to be called a panada. But basically what we're doing is we're just soaking up the bread. I'm going to squeeze off the excess, and that's going to go right in. Then I have some fresh Parmesan cheese that I grated. I guess I put about a quarter a cup on here. Yeah, quarter cup or so. And then I'm going to put in some dried breadcrumbs. I happen to use seasoned. If you like to use plain or panko breadcrumbs, again, switch it up if you feel fine. Then I have a beaten egg, one egg beaten up here a little bit. That's going to add in there. It's going to provide the glue for our recipe. I have some fresh chopped parsley, a tablespoon or two. I have a clove or two of garlic in here, minced up. I'm going to add some dried oregano, of course, salt and pepper as well. We're going to put all that in here. But I don't have this in the recipe, but I went out in my garden this morning and I picked some basil. It was looking great out there. So this is fresh basil. So I'm going to add that in. Again, when you do this recipe, if you want to change it up a little bit, add a couple of things in there that's not in the recipe, it's fine. It's your recipe. You can go ahead and do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mince this up. I'm actually going to chiffonade it, which means fine threads. So let's do that right now. Okay, so we're just going to take this basil that I've already washed, pick it off the stems here. You don't want any of those stems in here. Just want the leaves. Okay, we're going to put all those in. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of put it into a bunch and kind of roll it up to, chiffonade. And again, we're just going to do really fine little threads. Take your knife, watch your fingers, and see, we just want it to be really fine, and it's like little threads. And that's going to get distributed all through our ground beef and give it a good flavor for our meatballs. And I mentioned, it's not in the recipe, so, feel free to admit it. Or if you'd like it, maybe you have some dried basil in your cabinet, use that as well. Okay, so now we're just going to add all of our ingredients. So let me just throw this one in right now. Get that out of the way while I have it. And I'll just put this over here. Okay, so going back to our ingredients, this is the bread I previously added the milk to. You can see it's all kind of mushy and soggy now, so it's incorporated all of that milk. Again, it's called the panada, but don't really need to know that. But we're going to add that in with the milk all absorbed. Okay, we're going to add our Parmesan cheese. Okay, we'll give that a stir now just to get it started. Break that all up in there. And then we're going to add our egg. Again, it's one egg just mixed up. This is going to add some liquid to it as well. Okay. And I'll get that started. Then we have our parsley, which is going to add a nice fresh flavor, fresh parsley to it, but it's also going to add some color. All right, and I'll throw my garlic in now too. I think that's a good time for that. So now I have this, and I'm going to just stir it, fold it all in to my ground beef. Okay, and add a little bit of oregano. I like that. If you don't have oregano, you can use marjoram. Marjoram's like a wild oregano, so that's fine. And add some fresh cracked black pepper. And I have my little salt storage box here. Some salt in there. I'll give it a stir, and then I'm going to hit it with a little bit more salt, I think. Okay, hit it with a little bit more salt. And lastly, our dried breadcrumbs to kind of bind it together. Stir that in. You know, sometimes I'll use my hands, wash them up and get them right in there and start incorporating it. That's fine, but or you can use a fork or a spoon to do that. Okay, now when this gets formed, and before I go into the meatballs, I don't know if that seasoning is correct. It's just the recipe, it's a guide, but you know, things change. So I like to do a little tester, like a little hamburger patty, cook that and taste it before I go into making all those meatballs to check that seasoning. So let's do that right now. All right, so I have a pan all heated up here on my burner. It's a non-stick, but you could add a little oil if you didn't have that. I'm going to make like a little teeny, just a taster. That's all we want. Put that in my pan. You can hear it sizzling there. Put it back on the burner. I'm going to cook both sides. You know, again, it's pretty thin, so it's going to cook fast. I really just want to taste the seasoning. I just want to make sure they're correct, and if not, we're going to make adjustments before we go into our production of meatballs. Okay? Let me put this back on the burner. Okay, so it's cooked quick, I should say. It's nice and thin, so it cooks pretty fast. I'm going to put it on an absorbent towel here just to get off that extra grease. And then I'm going to do a tasting. Let it cool here for a second. And you put it on there and just rip off a little piece. Good. I think it could use a little salt, but I think everything else is good. Taste the cheese and garlic. I think that's good. I like the oregano. Maybe a little pepper too. All right. Stir that in. We're going to go into production. The meat is all seasoned perfectly now and all mixed up. So now we just got to make the meatballs. You can freehand it. Sometimes I do that. I do like to put a little oil on my hands so when I'm rolling it doesn't stick as much. But sometimes the sizes come out all a little bit different. So it's helpful to use like an ice cream scoop or a disher, depending on the size. At least then it gets the general amount that you're looking for. So maybe you want to do hors d'oeuvres, little teeny meatballs. So you could use a smaller one. The middle one, which is what I'm going to use, I think this is a good size to have for like a toss with our spaghetti and our tomato sauce. Or you could use a larger. Maybe you want the giant meatball. Even use a bigger one. So you choose the scoop, but I'm going to use this one. We're going to use this purple one. Just scrape it up against the side. I'm going to put it into a sheet tray or some kind of pan right now. So they're all coming out, you know, pretty much the same size there. I'm just going to do all this, and then I'm going to form them and put them into our sous vide bag and get them into our water. All right? We'll be right back. So I've got the meatballs in the bags. I end up using 2 bags for this amount of meatballs, so they wouldn't get so squished and give them more room in the, in the water bath. So I have my ANOVA set at 140 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm going to cook them for an hour and a half. I have 1 bag already in there. I'm going to put that second bag in. So we'll pick it up. I'm going to close half of it right now, and then I'm going to use the water immersion method to get the rest of the air out. Drop those in, push them down. They like to float because there's a lot of air in the bag. So you really got to tuck them under. Burn your hand too much. Stick them underneath and then fold them over the edge. Okay, they're all submerged. I got the 2 bags. We'll see you in an hour and a half. Okay, it's been an hour and a half and our meatballs are definitely done. I've already taken 1 bag out of the water bath and put it into my sauce. Let's get the second bag now and take a look at those. So I'll shut this off, take out our bag. Shut that off, take out our bag. You can see the meatballs, they kept their shape pretty good. And they have a little bit of juice in them, which we're going to pour off, not a problem. So we open it up, and we're going to want to take these out. Okay, and get rid of that juice. You can see them here, they got a pretty good shape. Now, what you could do at this point, if you wanted to, was put some oil in a pan and char them, sear them up if you really like that color, 2-3 minutes just to get a little browning on them. Or not, it's whatever you'd like. I'm not going to do it because they're both going to end up in the sauce. Char does add a little flavor and a little color, but nominal to me. So you can see these are pretty good. So tender and so soft, like little sponges. So we want to add these into our sauce. I've already got some in there. And all we're going to do is coat them. Coat them with the tomato sauce, your homemade, pan, jarred, whatever you'd like. And then when you're ready, just plate it up with your favorite pasta. So let's do that now. I have a plate here, a little roll on the side, some extra cheese. Got some pasta I cooked a little bit earlier. So we'll put this in here. Got a little olive oil on it so it doesn't stick. Put a little bit into our pan here, twist it around. Add a few meatballs and some sauce. Oh, look at the heat on that, smells good. Okay, we put a meatball in there, or two. Okay, put that in, move my roll over here maybe. Put some cheese on it. And there you go. Wicked easy sous vide Italian meatballs. Easy to cook. And if you didn't want to finish them right now, when they come, just put them in some ice water to cool down and freeze them. And then bring them out when you're ready to go and they're all done. All right, hope you try this at home and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.